Hello, and welcome to Time Between Times storytelling. Here we are again, as the wheel of the year turns. The nights grow darker, the wind grows colder. But we, our small fellowship, gather here at the Time Between Times for more tales of magic and mystery, of the Tylwyth Teg, of ghosts, of fairies. Join me tonight for one of my favourite tales. Llyn Cwm Llwch in the Brecon Beacons is the site of our tale tonight. But first, before we go there, let us sit back, let us relax, let us wait, let us close our eyes, let us clear our minds, and let us go to the time between times. The time when it is neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. The time between times, the time that people tell stories, the time that people see lights in the sky, the time of storytelling. So sit back, relax, and join me. Even though far away we can hear the howl of wolves, we can see the howl of bears fly upon the wind, we know we are safe here at the time of tales. Llyn Cwm Llwch in the Brecon Beacons is a dark and dismal and dreary pool. It is surrounded by ravens, for they are the only birds who will go anywhere near it. But it holds a terrible secret. For many, many hundreds of years ago, there in the middle of that small lake, there was an island. And although this island could not be seen from the shore, there was a riven rock nearby, with a small door that could only be seen upon Midsummer's Eve. And all the people would gather who lived nearby and make their way to that cold, slimy rock and knock on the door that would appear at the time between times. The door would creak open, revealing a passageway that only one person at a time could squeeze into the passage and make their way down and down and round through tunnels deep beneath the earth that appeared on the island in the middle of the lake. When you were on the island, you could see the shore, but those upon the shore could not see the island, and the island was a place of joy, for there was a castle commanded by the king of the Tylwyth Teg, and all the people from the nearby villages, for one day and one day alone, could travel to that castle. They would make their way down through the tunnels and then rise on the island. And there the Tylwyth Teg, whose beauty knew no bounds, would dance, feed them, and show them joys beyond their mortal understanding. But the Tylwyth Teg had one rule, and one rule alone, and that was that if any mortal took anything from the island and took it to the shore, they would be no longer welcome on the Isle of the Tylwyth Teg. And sure enough, as happens in these tales, a man called Gethin Sych once took a flower petal from the shore of the island, as all danced and made merry around him, and placed it in his pocket. And sure enough, as midnight sounded, and all the mortals made their way away from the island, down into the tunnels back to the shore, as soon as he arrived out of the riven rock, he collapsed in a stupor, and for the rest of his life was unable to walk or talk. The people of the village were scared. The people of the village were nervous. And the next year, on midsummer, when they returned to the rock, no door appeared. There was no way to travel to the island. They looked across the lake. The water was just still. There was no sign of the Tylwyth Teg, no sign of the merriment and music that travelled across the winds. And the people were angry. They devised a plan, and that plan was to drain the water from Llyn Cwm Llwch. Drain the water away, for they knew that the Tylwyth Teg hid treasures uncounted under the water, and if they were to make the lake dry, they could find gold and silver beyond imagining. All the villagers who were angry at no longer being invited came up to Llyn Cwm Llwch with shovels, with spades, with carts, and started to dig and dig and dig a trench leading to the lake, a trench that would drain the water away from the valley. And they dug and they dug and they dug, led by a man called Tumbara. Now Tumbara was big and mighty and was a farmer from a nearby valley, and he dug and dug and dug until at last there was only one bit of earth left before they would dig it away and all the water would drain from the lake. Tum raised his pickaxe high above his head and was about to do so, when suddenly the water from the lake rose like a fountain into the sky, and there in the twirling tempest stood a Titan made from water. His hair was long and made of waves that washed away down to the floor. His voice was as old as the mountains and as capricious as the sea. And he spoke to the people of the village, this terrible Titan, and said, "If you take the water from this lake, if you take the water from this lake, the water from Llyn Safadon, far away from here, will break its banks and pour upon the town of Brecon, drowning it totally. You have known the wrath of the Tylwyth Teg. You are no longer welcome on the island. Go and live in peace. Do not take the water from the lake. Remember the token of the cat." And with that, he whooshed down into the water once more, and it lay still and riven like a mirror. The villagers gathered and spoke in whispers, all of them terrified by what they've seen. But what do they remember? What does he mean by the token of the cat? Tumbara raised his hand. "I think I know what he means. It was only last week that a woman in the farm next to me had a troublesome cat. She asked me to drown that cat, and with a heavy heart I brought it here to Llyn Cwmswch. I tied a stone around the cat and threw it into the lake. I thought no more of it. It was a terrible cat that hunted the chickens nearby. But the next day I travelled to Llyn Safadon, and there I rowed out on a small boat into the lake 10 miles from here, when suddenly I saw the cat come out of the water in Llyn Safadon, take the rock from over its neck and wander off mewing into the night. Through the magic of the Tylwyth Teg, the lakes Llyn Cwmswch and Llyn Safadon must be linked, and to take the water from one could add water to the other, which would drown the pool in Brecon, drown the town, drown the village, drown everything. I say the spirit of the waters is right. We know no more. We do no more. We come here no more." And with that, the villagers left Lake Llyn Cwmswch, full, quiet, where it sits like that to this day, surrounded by the ravens. Although, if you approach the lake, you will see the trench is still there, dug all the way to the boundaries of the lake by Tumbara, until the Titan of the waves told them to no longer mess with the Tylwyth Teg, for the fate of Brecon depends upon it. And that, my friends, is the tale of the curse of Cwmswch. Thank you so much for joining me at the Time Between Times again. I know these are difficult days, but I hope that these tales bring you at least a little bit of happiness or joy or a bit of thought as we settle back into the Time Between Times. Thank you all for subscribing. Please like, please tell your friends, and please share the videos if you enjoy them. Please leave a comment. Tell me what you enjoy, what you want to see more of. My name is Owen Staton. I thank you ever so much for joining me here. Please take care. Hwyl fawr.